Okay, so next up, we are flying all the way over to Romania. We're speaking to Christian and Relucia. They are Resurgence. How you doing, guys? You all right?
Hey.
Hi.
Thank you for your time, obviously coming on and having a chat with us today. Just want to talk to you about a couple of things, let our audience actually get to know who you are, and we'll have a little chat about the remixes and the remix that you guys have done for us. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back a few years now for you, Christian. Me and you actually met in Malta when we were DJing. We were DJing for MIB, weren't we? Do you remember playing there?
Yeah, like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was around 2018, maybe 2017, was it?
18, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And were you there, Beluca? Were you in Malta with us? I think you were, weren't
Yes,
you?
yes,
Yeah.
I was at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
party.
But you guys weren't doing the group then as Resurgence, were you? You were just performing as Sequential. What year
Yeah.
did you start Resurgence?
Yeah. We were just about to start this Resurgence project. Back then, it was just me and Marius, the other guy with Sequential, and we released a track on your label with Sequential.
That's right. Yeah. That was the first act of obviously working together at that time, wasn't it? After
Yeah.
the party in Malta. So
Yeah.
who come up with the name Resurgence then?
He came.
Yeah, I was looking to bring some, I guess, old school trends in drum and bass back, especially dance floor oriented style, um, just to bring it back in the scene because it kind of got lost. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole idea behind Resurgence, to bring back to life the old school dance vibe of DNB. Yeah.
And you seem to like to produce a bit of everything as well, don't you? Like obviously you've had the high-end kind of liquid stuff like you had on Pilot. You had like the
Yeah.
big commercial dance floory stuff on Dirtbox, and of course some really tearing neurofunk that you did for us on VTO Records as well. Has this always
Yeah.
been something that you plan to do with Resurgence?
Yeah, well, honestly, I always enjoyed the full picture of DNB, and for me, the most important thing when I listen to a track, either if I wanna get inspired or I wanna play it on a show or something, I just listen for, I guess, the unique sound behind it, because after all, it's electronic music, and if you don't have a certain style that's well built through lots of practice in designing sounds and in just working with basic sounds and making them all create something together, makes your style unique. And that's why I never think about the fact that it's a more chill liquid track, or it's a more aggressive neuro, or it's a rolling one. It's a For me, it's DNB. Drum and bass is drum and bass for me, and it always be in my heart as a style that satisfies my producer needs, to say,
For
to
sure.
work with sounds and design sounds.
For sure.
So yeah.
And when you're DJing, Relucia, do you actually play all genres of drum and bass, or do you just stick to one style?
Well, she mostly plays
Uh,
neuro, I
I'm
guess.
a little bit. I was actually more into neurofunk. We started the project at the same time as I started to DJ at home during the pandemic, because I was at the university during that time, and we had a lot of time and um, mm, a lot of time to be here in the studio to work together on tracks, to find our style. And for me, Resurgence, it was the
first
my
experience.
my start point
Yeah.
in singing in the studio. I was singing before, but only at school and chorus, and it was my first experience as a writer and composer and singing in a studio. So yeah, and yes, at that time I was playing only neurofunk because I was more into that genre of drum and bass, and it was for me more usual and easy to mix it. But now I started easily to combine dance floor with neurofunk. But usually while we are playing together, Christian is DJing the dance floor part, and I started also to have live shows to sing our tracks during the dance floor part, and after that I'm playing neurofunk.
Great stuff. And your English has got amazing since we last met as well, hasn't it? Have you been brushing up on your English a lot more?
Yeah, it's because my Moldavian roots and my Russian accent. I know I had like to correct it for the studio and for the singing, and I'm also working with a lot of foreign people, so I had a lot more time to exercise it. But thank you.
I mean, with the Resurgence album, Faded Colors, that came out on Dirtbox, I have to let you know this as well. The tracks on the album were the most requested tracks everybody wanted to remix. I had to start turning people down. I had to start saying, no, we've already got like three or four remixes. Enough's enough. It could have ended up just being a remix album of Faded Colors, basically. That's almost the case. Okay, so you guys, you mentioned obviously the singing there, and a lot about the production with you, Christian. You both play quite a lot of roles each when it comes to the Resurgence brand. What would you say your sole roles are each? What do you do?
Well, I guess we could say that mainly she's the one attending to all the social media related stuff, and talking to promoters and organizers and all that, the stuff that's in that ballpark. And I'm the one that's mainly with writing, production, with I'm constantly trying to create my own style and not get too inspired or copy others too much. And yeah, she's the one handling the whole public image stuff. And when we get together to work on our songs, um, nowadays she's also been studying lots of piano and music, and now she writes her own lyrics, she writes her own melodies with the vocals. And back then when we made our first album, she would only write the lyrics, and I would
helping with the voice.
yeah, I would write the melodies and everything else. But yes, since then we evolved, I guess, as musicians, and now we just work together.
We can contribute both. I can also contribute not only with the mixing part, but composing too. So yeah,
she can even come up with a melody or a simple like 10-20 seconds idea, and it can become a track now. And that's way better for me, because I'm not the only one who always searches in his imagination. Now she's also doing that.
That must be quite a relief then. It is I mean, full it's a proper partnership, isn't it? You both have your roles, and it takes a lot of pressure off yourself, and especially with such an amazing voice to be able to add to those tracks as well. You've definitely got yourself a niche, so to speak, there in the scene, haven't you?
Yeah, she also had some singing lessons.
Yeah, I improved also my singing, and we have some new ideas on which we are working. And I think those tracks are like the best because we evolved a lot. We didn't release so much in the last time because we stayed in the studio and we try not to create our sound.
I guess that's part of the challenge
Growing of an artist.
yeah, I mean, the more you learn, the better you become.
Yeah.
The more demanding you are on yourself. Like I just don't like my ideas anymore as much as I did before. Like it takes a long time for me to like an idea I have because I'm way more demanding on myself since I built up all the experience and the knowledge and so on, and now I'm way more picky with what I do. Yeah.
Great stuff. And last time I come to Romania to see you guys, we went to a party at the local club. Are those parties still going? Are you still throwing the events there?
Yeah, from time to time.
Yeah, it was a party organized by Christian. I think, yeah.
My birthday now.
Yeah, on his birthday, and we invited you.
Yeah.
And you saw our studio there.
Yeah.
Because you came to our house. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good
you
time.
mean back then?
Yeah.
Like when was it? 5 years ago?
Yeah,
I think it was 1 year
2019,
after.
I believe.
Yeah, 1 year after the Malta meeting.
But was that my birthday or was it in the spring?
I think it was on your birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
because
was. I can settle this. It was November 2019.
Oh,
not
so
on your birthday, but it was cold outside.
it was actually fall. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's not my. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember it because I had an amazing time at the party, and I think I did a little too much because the next night I was just very, very exhausted. I ended up going to bed.
I'm glad you enjoyed staying here with us. I mean, yeah, it was a really cool party. Even though back then the place was way smaller, where we used to
They changed it.
yeah, they moved the place and now it's way bigger.
Oh wow.
It's still the same place where we have drum and bass parties here, but
yeah, but now it's a really big basement. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So, following on from the Faded Colors album, a significant milestone in your guys' career was the signing to Pilot and featured on UKF. How did all of that come about? And was it a surprise?
yes.
Well, to be honest, for me it was a surprise to begin with when I first released on Focus Recordings with my friend Subliminal Alex, and yeah, we actually used to play in like a blues rock band when we were teenagers for a little while, and then he just started DJing some house, I think, and after that he was like, uh, hey, come and teach me how to produce drum and bass because I really love drum and bass, especially liquid. And I was like, yeah, sure, okay, let me show you some stuff. And the next thing, we're releasing on Focus, which is a pretty big label for liquid, especially. And I was totally surprised because those tracks were just like, for learning, for him to learn, like just for experimenting, and they ended up being actually quite nice, especially since it was his first EP and we have two collabs there. And then one day I thought to myself, what if I try to make like an old school liquid kind of track with a simple vocal part? And yeah, that's how Just a Waste came to be. And I was totally surprised when it hit UKF and when Pilot was so eager to release it.
Yeah,
Because
it wasn't Christian's favorite track.
It's not that it wasn't my favorite track. It was my first track of that kind, and
Yeah.
I was not expecting it to be so successful. I mean, everybody was so hyped about it, and I was totally surprised because for me it was, just the first try. So to get something that big on my first try it was definitely totally surprising. It still is to this day, because that track still has lots of streams and lots of views and listens. And
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that thing happens to most producers and musicians. Like you have a big hit track, and you're like, why is that track such a hit? Why is that track
Yeah.
so popular? You
I
you
think
just
I think the track, I mean, I do see when I go onto my Spotify for labels from time to time, I obviously I can click on the Resurgence, especially if we're doing something, and I have seen that the streams are just insane still every single
yeah,
month, aren't they? Like it must be on
yeah,
some major playlists still a couple of years later.
yeah. And you know, it's a bit annoying for me, because keep thinking sometimes that should I go back to that style, even though now I evolved so much and I can write all sorts of more complex and interesting ideas. Should I just go back to that simplicity because it works? It's tricky,
Yeah.
you know. It's always
Well,
Well,
nobody stops you to just make another one like that. We can anytime work or something similar. I don't know. And
well,
still
yeah.
doing dance floor and what we like, and maybe we can like also doing some liquid tracks because we are now focusing more on dance floor tracks. So
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you do what you like. That's what's going
yeah,
to get noticed, because you can obviously feel passion in music, and if it's something you like, that's when you're probably going to come out with your more original work as
yeah.
well, aren't you?
I also think about just the ways reached so many people because uh, just transmits a lot of feelings,
Mm.
and the lyrics and the melody are, I don't know, really emotional and also simple but catchy. And
Yeah, and it was totally random. That's what's so surprising for me. Like, after all these years, I have a bunch of musicians that some of them finished university in music, and I often consulted with them on how you're supposed to write, vocal harmonies, uh, all kinds of melodies on top of other melodies and so on. And now I can say my skill is way better. But back then, it was totally random. Like, just the waste was totally random. Like, not for 1 second did I check anything in a nerdy way like I do now. It was just totally random, and it worked. It was, I guess, it was just pure luck. I don't know.
first
Like,
instinct,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was the
like,
instinct, I guess.
yeah.
It's very important for artists to also follow their instincts because a lot of them are usually just getting deeper into small details. And I think it's also important to just go after your feelings
Well,
and
yeah,
just go with the instinct. And
that's the beauty of music. Like, you can spend in an entire lifetime trying to search for a recipe,
after
and
that, you just have
yeah,
one
and one
moment of
morning you
inspiration.
wake up and
You're like, okay, I
something
have an
pops.
idea.
Yeah,
For
like,
sure. And you talk about music evolving. Obviously, for this album, we don't just have remixes of your work, but you've actually done a remix for us as well. You remixed an old track by Slain called
yeah.
Dogtooth, and this track again very different than anything else that you seem to have put out, especially with my labels as well. What was the focus on that remix, and what made you choose that track to remix?
Well, I guess I liked the sounds. I mean, the combination of sounds he used. Uh, I really enjoyed the synth sounds he had on the track. Yeah, the drums were a bit too old sounding, so I just used my own drums. And the bass was way too smooth, because I like a more distorted and heavy, thick bass. But the synths and the atmosphere and the, I guess, tone of the track was really cool. It had also a really nice groove, and I I thought to myself, well, since it's so simple musically, why don't I put some interesting notes and harmonies there? And I remember you telling me that the atmosphere sounds like an old school roller track from I think Renegade time.
Yes. Yeah,
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 and
absolutely.
I was totally surprised when you said that because yeah, I listened to some old school drum and bass during that period, but I guess it just got into my subconscious because I didn't intentionally copy it or
No,
something. Maybe it just
it's
stuck
it's
there.
very original. I mean, in reality, I think it's uncomparable to anything. It's very different
No,
because
thank you.
you've taken what is a general roller, like I said, a deep roller, and you've put some grit and a bit more danceness into it, if you get what I mean. That, you know, it's a bit more danceable, a bit more accessible, but it's still, like I said, when you think of things that are like hard rollers, you know, how like the old Renegade hardware sound, or maybe even Bad Company as well, it just gave me some hints of that, so to speak. And that is the only thing I could think and fathom up to say it's comparable. In reality, I don't think it's comparable to anything. It's a very original remix, if that can be done.
That's it's awesome to hear that because as I said, the whole idea behind Resurgence is to bring back some old school sounds and the old school style of drum and bass, which got somehow lost in time. And yeah, for me it will always be the main drive when it comes to writing and producing drum and bass. When I started to listen to drum and bass when I was just a kid, um, I obviously was listening to drum and bass that was being released 15, 20 years ago.
Hmm.
So yeah, that will still be the main style of drum and bass in my heart.
Yeah.
For
But yeah,
sure.
nowadays you have so many different styles, and it's really hard to bring back something from the old days. But
It's nice to have
yeah,
like a mixture of them, the old school sounds and the old school ideas, dancey ones, maybe more funky, I
yeah,
guess, but also adapted to nowadays because the genre is changing and we all can see that in
For
the
sure.
scene. Yeah, and I think it's a mixture basically. So
Well,
yeah.
what we're going to do now is we're going to have a listen to the track. Let us know in the comments, guys, what you think to this one. This is the Resurgence remix of Dogtooth by Slain. There we go. There's the remix. That will be available on the album sampler. Was it 3 or 4? It's one of the album samplers that's coming out in March, and then it'll be on the full 50th release album on April the 5th. Yeah, fantastic. I'm sure everybody agrees with that. Absolute phenomenal remix. But on top of that as well, we've also remixed 3 of your tracks from the Faded Colours album. The first one, of course, with First Person, an absolute blinding terrifying neurofunk remix of that. We're speaking to him in this podcast as well, so we'll be taking a listen at that as well. And we've got 2 other remixes that we're going to listen to right now. The first one being By the Fifth, and this is a remix of Resurgence and Odin, Chicago style. So what did you think to this remix, guys? Do you think is it a good take on Chicago Style? The Chicago Style track was actually my favorite from the original album as well. So it was good to hear a new version of this.
Oh, interesting that you say that. That track was an interesting experience for me.
It started as a funny actually experience with all the Americans.
Yeah, it actually started with a good friend of mine who's a guitar player in a stoner metal band, and yeah,
is that Dennis? Is that Dennis?
Yeah. And he came up with this like cool guitar riff, and I was like, I have to put that in the computer. And eventually it came to be a drum and bass track, not a rock metal track. So it just naturally came to be eventually, with all the synths and all the atmosphere. And when we had the raw track finished, I was thinking we need a certain theme, I guess. Maybe a good vocal sample there to finish everything up. And
you were watching the news.
I was, funny enough, I was just scrolling through Fox News on YouTube, watching the American riots, and I was like, man, this is perfect. This is exactly what we need. Like the whole track sounds so rioty, you know, like it's so bravey and just a riot. And it was, and then we spent some time on Adobe Premiere to make I guess collection of short videos from Fox News with the riots.
The video is actually was made by another friend of us, Danny, and he was learning more of Adobe and Photoshop back then, and he was like, okay guys, I can help you with, I can gain some experience and just see how it turns.
Yeah, but it was really cool for me because, interesting enough, just like when you're working on a music track, I mean on the DAW you're working, you still have very similar stuff to do with when you're working on editing a video.
Yeah,
it's just that you're working with video clips, not with audio clips, but lots of similarities when you're arranging the project and all. Yeah.
So did you create an actual kind of like music video for the track?
Yeah, it's up on YouTube.
Oh, you need to send it over. Send it over to me. We'll get it on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
That's brilliant. That's great. So yeah, and of course the fifth, he put his spin on this as well as a remix. What do you think of the fifth's take of this track?
It's definitely way more aggressive, but at the same time, I really like the fact that he kept the whole theme of it, like, I mean, musically, and also the vocal sample is still there, and it's clear, and as what's the main idea behind the track. But yeah, he definitely went really hard and aggressive with the remix, and the drums are way more metallic and aggressive, and
yeah, that's
the bass is way heavier. But I guess it works because it's different. It's I mean, that's the idea behind the remix, to not be the same.
I didn't want anybody doing a remix to make another version of your track.
Yeah.
It'd have to be another style. So that's I think
that's also the reason why maybe so many chosen our tracks, because our tracks were dance floor and they could remix them in a neurofunk style.
Yeah, they were softer, and they could make them more aggressive.
Another style and something different.
And producers love to mess around with vocals. That's why I was very shocked when you chose Dogtooth, because most people, they were dying to do some bits with the vocals and things like that. It's just you generally have a lot easier experience. What's that?
And that's the thing. When I listened to the tracks that were up for remix that you sent me, um, I was really just listening to how easy would the sounds be to work with, just the raw sounds of the tracks, and also the groove behind it, because that's the thing for me with drum and bass. Even to this day, I, I honestly think it's so difficult to get the proper groove, because drum and bass has its own original groove, which if it's not there, it's just way too different. But if it's there, the old school proper groove, then it's way easier for me to work with it, because I know that groove so well, because I listened to it day and night with my head in the speakers for years and years, while producing and trying to produce back when I started.
Yeah.
And once I have that groove locked in my head, everything goes so smooth when I work on the track, especially since I used to be a drummer when I was playing in a band back then. So yeah, for me,
sure.
the rhythm is the main thing I look for whenever I listen to a track, especially with up for remix.
For sure. And talking of rhythm, there was one final remix as well. And I was quite shocked he actually went for this one. It's probably one of the lighter tracks on the Faded Color album. Runaround obviously got the remix treatment as well. And this was done by Bad Ace, who's very recently had a track featured on Cause for Concern Records. So yeah,
nice.
Obviously the Runaround track. What did you think of this remix?
Well, it was definitely interesting that he kept the entire, and at least it sounded to me like he kept the melody intact, yet somehow he got a different, more darker atmosphere with the same melody. So yeah, I guess it's because he has a pretty cool sound design. He has his own library of sounds that he made probably, and he combined them in his own way, and without changing the notes, the melody.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
like also more aggressive because it's a
yeah,
and also
it's
a
darker. It's
a
yeah,
neurofunk remix, but kind of it's interesting because the vibe is different.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. It's a darker
Yeah.
tone to it. Yeah.
Very, very different. Well, let's have a listen to that remix. We've got it here now. This is the Bad Ace remix of Resurgence Runaround.
Is it to feel?
Another amazing remix for the album. Cannot wait for people to get their hands on this. Again, as I said, we did listen to the first person remix as well a little earlier. What did you think of that one, guys? The first person remix of By a Thread.
For me, that is my favorite one. I wasn't really into that track so much as Faded Colors, but
That's because I wrote that
no,
track
it's not
entirely.
true. But
by
I think I like more the remix than the original, I guess.
By a Thread was entirely written and produced by me. She just recorded the vocals.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah,
I don't like to get orders, so I was like, okay, I'm just doing what you want. But
yeah. Well,
It's
I
great.
could say as well that it's definitely the most intriguing one for me too. I couldn't say favorite because all of the remixes have their unique thing that the producers added to my ideas. But By a Thread is definitely intriguing because I think he switched the main root of the bass from C to F, and I was totally surprised that it worked. Because
yeah,
it's usually really tricky when you change the root bass note, and it worked. And I guess that means he is a talented producer, because
For sure.
he could have just went the easy way, and
Yeah.
just
he was
But
like, no, I'll just switch the root note and let's see what happens.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah,
It
yeah, it
worked
sounds
because
very good.
yeah, it sounds different, and at the same time,
Proper
it
and
still has your vocals in there,
yeah,
and
yeah,
most of the melodies I put in. So, and it's definitely really different from the others, because it's even though it's still just a more aggressive version, it retains a lot of feeling. I guess it's a vibey, aggressive kind of neuro track.
For
Like
sure.
it reminds me a bit of Magnitude style.
Yes.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah,
sounds like
very good.
Evolution Chamber in a way, doesn't it?
Yes,
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I really
I
liked it also how he chopped the vocals.
Yeah, you love Magnitude, yeah.
he actually spent around 3 months on that remix as well.
Oh,
Ooh,
okay,
Yeah.
so the appreciation
well,
is here, my friend.
yeah,
A long time, a long time on it. But yeah, he got there with it in the end, and as you say, it's a phenomenal remix. I'm not afraid to say as well, out of the album, it's the highest rated remix on promo that we've had. So
Okay.
it's got more ratings than any of the other remix. Not that it's a bad album, but it is standing out on promo quite significantly as well. So what's next for you guys then in 2024? Do we have any more releases this year? Any gigs?
We are
Anything you can
hoping
talk about?
we have the
we-
tracks, but we didn't send them yet because we wanted to be more. I don't know.
yeah, we have a bunch of ideas going on, and a few tracks just finished the I guess basic structure of them, making them at least 3 or 4 minutes long. And we also bought a new microphone, so her
And the
vocals.
synthesizer.
Oh yeah, and her vocals now stand out way better. But I guess we're still searching for our own style, because making the kind of drum and bass that we were recently making, definitely more mainstream oriented, like definitely.
More poppy.
Yeah, it's like it's way harder to be original in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's the challenge. And
yeah.
we also have the synth now, so we can make our own sounds
Yeah,
for
I
the new
also
tracks.
I also bought an analog synthesizer, my first one, and it's definitely a different experience, because me working on a computer and making sounds from a computer since forever. It's definitely an experience to work with sounds created from pure electricity. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
That's great. I can't wait to hear it. Hopefully we can do something again on Dirtbox perhaps later in the year if you get some things finished.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So last one for you guys. This is obviously a giant milestone for us on Dirtbox, the 50th release in 5 years. What does it mean to you guys to be a part of such a huge milestone and featured quite prominently as well on there with your name around 4 times?
Well, in the first place, we have released our first AP on your label, so of course it's something very important for us to be part of it because it was our start, and we also are very happy because and excited. I was very excited also to hear all the remixes. I was like, okay, we have like 3 tracks, and it was like I can't wait to just hear them all and see how they turned. And
Yeah,
Great stuff.
I was honestly, I was really happy when we met back in Malta because with the guys from MIB, there was barely any production going on or anything related to production, like rarely. They were more into DJing and putting up parties and stuff. And I DJed for so long. I've been DJing since I was like 15 years old, I
with
think.
the dubstep.
And I realized I'm more into making music. I'm more into production. And I was so glad when I met you because you were all about promoting, producers and
Oh yeah.
guys like me who are more into making music rather than just playing shows. And yeah, it was really surprising that you actually even loved my music, my tracks, and that's why it's been always a pleasure for me to release on your label, and it will always be because you appreciate my work, my ideas, my view, yeah. So, and especially for her, it's been an interesting new experience for others to be eager to remix her vocals and work with them because I was the only producer who worked with her vocals.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
very excited to hear how
others,
the others
yeah,
approached
yeah,
our tracks. And
Great stuff. Yeah, I mean those remixes are phenomenal. Your remix is phenomenal as well. And again, just going back to obviously our meeting in Malta, I believe we were talking that much on that outside patio. I believe I missed the like first 5 minutes of my set because we were that involved
yeah.
in chatting about things. But it was great, and obviously my time obviously coming to see you guys in Romania as well. And let's see what the future holds. Hopefully a lot more. But yeah, I do see your vision. I absolutely love the vision that you've got for your music, and I love promoting it. I love to be the one that you're entrusting to actually put that music to the masses. And yeah, you've definitely got a friend and a promoter of your music for life here, 100%. Listen,
Thanks.
thank you very much for your time, guys. It's been
thank
amazing
you.
having you again, and been amazing to talk to you again, should I say. Let's see what this year holds, and thanks again.
Thank you
For
too.
sure.
What's up everyone, Lee UHF here, the host of DNB Wraps. Thank you for watching our videos. If you like what you're hearing and seeing on the channel, please make sure you're subscribing to it. Please make sure you thumbs up the videos, and more importantly, let's get some comments going as well. It really helps the channel, and in order for us to provide this content to you, we do need the channel to grow. So we can't do this without your help. Hope you enjoy the video. Speak to you soon.